asked him, I said, the brand, he said, what is it? You keep talking about the Biden brand. I said, is it Dr. Jill? Is it Brother Jim? No. He just looks at me like I'm an idiot. He says, of course it's Joe Biden. Of course it's Joe Biden.
Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs sounding off Thursday at the first impeachment inquiry hearing against President Joe Biden. Biggs and his Republican colleagues laying out a compelling case of bribery, influence peddling, and obstruction of justice by President Biden, his son, and the Biden family, while Democrats made the hearing about, well, Donald Trump. So what did we learn that was new, and what is next for the inquiry? Joining us now, Arizona Republican Congressman and member of the House Oversight Committee, Andy Biggs. Congressman, we heard from a number of witnesses regarding the potential illegality of the Biden family business dealings. And while your witnesses agreed that with what we know now, it may have been improper and unethical, they did seem to concur with the assessment of your colleagues on the Democratic side that it isn't necessarily an impeachable offense at this point. Is there a risk here in advancing these hearings but ultimately not being able to convince the public that it's justified?
Well, Tom, thanks for having me. No, I don't think there's a real risk to inquiry here, because they also all agreed that there's a whole lot of smoke here. Their biggest question was, can you make the ultimate link? And they all agreed that it looks like there's a link. And I think we laid out a case pretty solidly that there is a link between the unethical conduct of Hunter Biden selling access, influence peddling, just the generic corruption of what Hunter Biden and his associates and their whole family was receiving funding for, including Joe Biden. So the only risk we really have is by not looking into this and saying we're just going to let potential impeachable conduct go forward on the part of this president.
Among the evidence that your colleagues presented were the new wire for over $250,000 from a Chinese national to Hunter Biden that Hunter Biden used the address of Joe Biden as the address for the wire, as well as a text message from Hunter Biden to Naomi Biden indicating that he had to give half of his earnings to the president throughout his career. We've also now seen evidence of conversations where Jim Biden talks about his brother being the big guy. What else have we learned this week that you think is compelling for the public to know?
Well, I think that we also learned, I think it's important to understand that one of the things that we learned is that for the legal ramifications for bribery, the court cases, the law itself does not require that Joe Biden actually receive the specific benefit, not like where you see someone sliding an envelope of cash over. Right. If his family is receiving benefits because they're selling access to Joe Biden, I think that's we learned that that's really the same legal significance that qualify as a crime, and thus if you qualify under a crime, that's a felony. A lot of people say that's a high crime, and that warrants impeachment. So I think that's important on the legal side. And then we learned some factual things too.
Across the board, Democrats weren't moved by the evidence that has been presented by Republicans so far. Here's what Ranking Member Jamie Raskin had to say. Watch this.
If the Republicans had a smoking gun or even a dripping water pistol, they would be presenting it today, but they've got nothing on Joe Biden. All they can do is return to the thoroughly demolished lie that Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump launched 5 years ago, the Burisma conspiracy theory.
Of course, you didn't present evidence or witnesses because that's not what that hearing was about. But overall, your response, because all the Democrats basically said the exact same thing that Raskin said. They're all on the same page.
Yeah, I took it with a grain of salt. This is the guy that basically managed the bogus impeachment on Trump. And he actually changed evidence, manufactured evidence there and also on the J6 committee. So I think he's incredible. He's not a witness where you'd say he's got a reputation of strong veracity. You would say he is one that is incredible. So with that, and then don't forget, they also claimed that part of the defense was Joe Biden was just being a dad. That's he's always doing.
I love that one.
Let me tell you, I've seen cases prosecuted successfully with this type of evidence, and I think we can continue to elucidate evidence. I think we're going to show the American people, and that's the key here. A lot of people want this to be visceral and emotional, and maybe it will get that way on our side. But we're trying to actually present fact upon fact upon fact that you apply the law to.
Okay.
And in so doing, we'll get it.
Congressman, I'm running out of time. Very quickly, when's the next hearing?
I don't know yet. I would assume it's soon. We're going to get more records, but I want Hunter Biden to testify as soon as possible.
All right, Congressman Andy Biggs, always appreciate you being with us, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.